the answers, tell me the answers. I could find you, I could find
From the Sporting News Studios, this is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Matt Litevsky.
I got all the answers, all the answers. I could find you, I could find all the answers. If you let me get it close and study you.
We are back. Big trades, big everything. Week 8 fantasy football. We're all excited, right?
Nope.
I'm excited.
You're excited? Alex
I'm excited Alex is back.
Yeah, we're always excited about that because we get to talk about Patrick Mahomes when Alex is here.
Well, we get to do that for us, and then he gets to win this week as we talk about his boy, Ronald Jones.
Oh, yeah, Ronald Jones, the
That's
Ferrari.
Why he's back. That's why he's back. Ferrari's getting revved up.
Might be getting gassed up this week. As you already know, I'm Matt Litevsky, Sporting News Fantasy Senior Editor, here with fantasy football enthusiasts Eric Ferreira, Alex Novick.
Less enthusiastic every week.
Every week gets a little less, but some people get more.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people, but some get more. As we do every week, we run down the highest searched, most trending players. We run down sleeper and bust picks for the week. We look at random stuff, but we always start with computer alerts from Alex's computer. I think he must have gotten an email or a message.
Yeah.
Is it important?
No, it's payroll.
Do you want to read it out loud to the class?
I think that should have to be the punishment. But no, as we start every week, we look back at things we got wrong the previous week. Alex isn't here, so he kind of gets to skirt this issue.
We'll just keep bringing this one up.
So we bring up the one we bring up every week from our week 2
He needs his
podcast.
own segment.
Alex or Patrick Mahomes?
Mahomes needs his own segment.
Mahomes Boys in Outer Space segment?
Yeah, something like that.
We call it like that?
Wow.
That was a good show. And just to revisit, after week 2, we threw out, so it was a week 3 podcast, we threw out Patrick Mahomes, random over-under for touchdowns on the year, 44.5, super high number, just to see who was taking the bait. Alex said 34.5, I'd take the under.
Wow.
Bold. Where's he at?
Can we get an update on that one?
Where's he at?
Well, he's at 22 passing, 2 rushing, so 24 total.
That's a lot.
So he's over halfway to the 44.5 number.
Yeah.
He might hit Alex's 34.5 number next week.
He could.
It's in
Broncos
play.
aren't that good.
It's in play.
Yeah. So what do you have to say for yourself, Alex?
Yeah, it's not looking too good.
No?
No, I mean, he's on pace for 40,
He's
46?
on pace for 50 passing.
50 passing.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. I don't really have much to say about that because it's clearly wrong.
Do you believe in him now?
I believe in him. My question is he on pace for the best fantasy season of all time? That's what we should be talking about.
Yeah, that's a good question. Don't know.
Have to look that up.
Yeah, someone would have to do that research, and I don't know who would possibly.
I mean,
do
he's
that.
not rushing for a lot of yards, so it's not like he's adding those in.
Right. I feel there's been guys.
His yardage totals are typically over 300, but it's not like he's throwing for 450 every week or on some long. We've seen stretches, I feel like, before where guys have thrown for 350 plus 400 for like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 weeks, like Breeze and
I remember the most. I mean, obviously the Brady record-breaking year, the Manning record-breaking year. I remember those being huge. The one season that always stands out to me for quarterbacks, though, is the Michael Vick. And he didn't play that entire season, so I don't think that was the biggest ever. I just remember that year, that Vick with the Eagles. Yeah. And it was just like...
Well, he had the rushing, too.
Well, right. And people were like, he's going to be the number 1 pick next year. He should be the number 1 pick. Which it seems insane now to say about a quarterback.
That was a fun ride to be.
But I had him on my team that year. It was, and that was the classic. Even if he had a quiet first half, you're like, just wait.
That was the year where he did.
It's coming in the second half.
That was the one where he had the Monday Night Washington comeback where he threw.
That was insane.
Yeah. Comeback in fantasy.
Right.
It wasn't a comeback in the game because I think they blew him out. But
anyway, Patrick Mahomes looking good. That offense looking unstoppable. They're incorporating Kareem Hunt in the passing game a lot now. The only guy who's not always in on the fun is Sammy Watkins, but he's still a guy you're going to play most weeks, I think, just for the upside.
Yeah. I mean, it depends who else you got.
Right.
He's obviously the 4th option.
Yeah.
Behind Kelsey, Hunt, and
Tyreek Hill.
But yeah, certainly enough footballs to go around.
And as you know, Eric, last week they kept throwing. They were content.
Appreciate that touchdown on Tyreek Hill, which cost me my fantasy game.
It's funny how that. What was the score in the game at that point?
Was it 35-10?
Something like that?
Yeah. And I
never have enough.
I had AJ Green against Tyreek Hill. Just needed to beat Hill by 2.
And you're thinking, well, AJ Green's garbage time.
Right.
Racking it up.
Well, first half, it was 110 yards to about 60-something yards. I was like, all right, I'm feeling good. I'm ahead. Hill did drop that touchdown pass, which I feel like I didn't really.
It was a freebie.
That was a freebie.
You got one.
But then I thought it was done.
Yeah.
And then he gets a little 3-yard, which I saw the whole play happening. He was up.
A great offensive mind like you.
I don't know how you don't cover it.
You watch the all 22 in real time, even when the camera isn't showing it.
Yeah. So that was another L. Probably ended my season.
Yeah, no one cares. All right, let's.
So I want to bring up one other quarterback thing real quick because we keep talking about Mahomes every week, and I brought up Andrew Luck last week, but I want to point out he threw 4 more this week. Mm-hmm. He's up to 20.
Pretty good.
Right, so we got Mahomes at 22. He's at 20. He's on pace for 46.
Did you look up his pass attempts per game like I asked you to?
I didn't have time to do that.
This is why I got to do this stuff. You did have time.
I didn't have time. I didn't have time.
You were watching the stupid Red Sox in the World Series.
Yeah, who would spend 4 hours every night doing that?
Hey, so real quick, so Peyton Manning in the year.
Stat alert.
In the year they had. Just a little comparison.
Alex is back.
I need to contribute something.
Sure.
In 2013, when he threw 55 touchdowns, 5,400 yards through 7 games, he had 26 total touchdowns, 2,500 passing yards, and negative 23 rushing yards.
Yeah.
So
better with those legs.
Killer.
So minus 2.3.
Compared to Mahomes, who has 24 total touchdowns, 2,200 passing yards, and 120 rushing yards. So not far off. That's probably like within 10 points.
Minus 23 through 7 weeks is a lot of kneel downs. Because obviously he didn't call any runs. Right. So maybe there's like a weird fumble loss. He falls on it because they count that as negative rushing yards.
They were 6-1.
But I mean, actually, no. You said minus 23 through 7 games. It's about 3 yards a game. So 3 kneel downs at the end of the game.
That's still a lot. And they lost 1 game, so there's no kneel down there.
Oh,
all right.
Halftime.
We'll dig into this. Important. Yeah, that's true.
Next week,
a good point.
Mr. Letofsky, you should have the top fantasy performances of all time ready for us.
All right. I probably won't do that
for you.
But
it's easy. It'll be through 8 games, so you can easily just double it with projections.
Is that how pace works?
Come on.
I'll have the intern on that. I'll tell him to do that. All right. Something I got wrong. I was 100% convinced the Willie Snead revenge game was happening last week.
Shocker. There wasn't a lot of revenge on to be served.
No, it didn't happen.
To be served that day. He had, caught 3 of 7 targets? I saw at least 1 drop, maybe 2.
Yeah, he was so focused on revenge.
Okay, so he's so focused on revenge. Yeah. I was thinking he didn't care.
Blinded by his revenge.
Did you really think Joe Flacco cared about his revenge?
Well, I thought Joe Flacco.
Well, that was what we talked. If you listened to last week's podcast, we talked. How does the revenge game how does that get communicated through the team? Like, is it like, does everyone just know they need to get Willie the ball? Does it come from the wide receivers coach up to the offensive coordinator? Thursday, does Willie throw his arm around Joe and say, "Hey man,
I owe these guys one, Joe.
Hook me up, man.
I know the corners."
Or does Flacco go up to Willie and say, "Hey man, I got you this week.
know you owe these guys one."
How does it work?
You think the coordinator seemed to be in on it because he gave him a rush?
See, I think it starts at the positional coach.
Maybe
because they're the guys. They're really in the room. But it's a little more casual setting there.
We'll combine our 2 because you had Flacco as a sleeper.
Right.
Even as we said, Joe Flacco's just not the kind of QB who has big games.
No,
he's a 270 and 2.
275
That's
and 2.
pretty much exactly what he did.
Exactly what he did.
It doesn't matter if they have the best matchup. He'll do worse in a bad matchup, but he's got a ceiling.
Right.
I think
he might throw for more yards or something. Does he ever throw 4 TDs in a game?
No.
I mean, we could maybe look it up, but I feel like he never has. I'm sure he's done it once.
In his life.
He's done it once.
Never. Not
even Andy Dalton will give you the 4 TD game here.
Oh, sure. Andy Dalton, yeah, he'll light it up. Another thing I was wrong on, kind of, but also definitely, was I said Eli sleeper. I just pushed all in on Eli against the Falcons.
And I said cut to next week's podcast.
Yeah. Look, 399 yards later, but only 1 touchdown.
Yep.
And that came in garbage time with a bunch of those yards.
You haven't been watching Eli Manning play this season.
I've watched him enough. Have you been watching the Falcons defense play this season? Because we had the stat, 3 touchdowns to everyone but Nick Foles.
It was more of a play against the Falcons.
For sure. And look, guy throws for 400. If I said to you Eli Manning threw for 400 yards, 399, you'd probably expect more than 1 touchdown. But he only had 1.
If you've been watching Eli Manning his whole career.
They tried to get him a rushing touchdown, a QB sneak.
Yeah, Peyton was there. There's a little extra hop in his step.
Sure. But,
That's it. He's done. That's it. That was his chance. I mean, he did throw for the 400 yards. But
so he had what, 22? I can't remember if he had any. Did he have turnovers? Probably. I don't know. Either way, 22 points. That's fine.
He's done.
Yeah, probably.
That's it.
That's all right, though.
That's it for them.
Isn't it
crazy?
well?
Here's the thing with the Giants. This is weird. So Beckham's awesome, right? Barkley's awesome. Ingram's good.
Shepard's solid.
Shepard's good. Like you're like, wow. Like they got some guys there,
The
right?
whole line's awful.
They even got a couple guys on D. But then you're like, why are they this bad? Because Eli's really bad.
And because of the O-line. I mean, they'd be better with, obviously, it would be better with a better quarterback. But I also think the O-line doesn't help.
Nate
It's
Solder.
the combination.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the guy can't move, so like he literally cannot play in the NFL with a bad line.
He's pretty
like
good.
other quarterbacks would be able to still move.
Nate Solder was fine last year.
Okay, thanks for the last year
He was
update.
fine last
Offensive
year.
lineman update from last year.
You think Belichick's teaching him how to block out there?
I think so, yeah. All right. So, yeah, Eli, I don't think I'm going to pick him as a sleeper.
No,
again.
I
Call me
wouldn't.
crazy.
I wouldn't.
Eric, another thing you were wrong on, because we already talked about Flacco, but another thing was you were very confident about a Taylor Gabriel breakout.
Yeah, I don't get. Well, it wasn't
Well, not
really a
even breakout.
Yeah.
Continued
Well, we were
breakout.
afraid, or I was afraid of the whole. You know, he had 2 straight 100-yard games.
You don't have 3 in a row.
You don't have 3 in a row.
Just like I was saying,
But
Ito
still-
Smith ain't going to score 4
But
times
this was
in a row.
kind of confusing because the Bears scored 31 points.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to throw to stay in the game.
Sure did.
They did throw a bit, but he wasn't really involved.
Allen Robinson was hurt.
Yeah.
Like it was there. Everything was lined up for it,
Yeah.
but it was just Cohen Burton.
Yeah, four
And
targets.
Trubisky running.
Yeah, I don't get it. I'm sure he'll be back, but just a tough pick. Just to say
He's going to be back randomly.
Sometimes you just gotta move on. I don't feel bad about it though.
You should.
I don't really feel bad
You know
about
how
it.
many teams you ruined? How many people
I don't.
listen to this?
If they listen to my other
you?
predictions, they did
Oh,
fine.
God,
so.
this guy always finds a way to pat himself on the back.
Hey, listen. Good thing for it was nice to see Trey Burton finally have
It was
a
nice.
big game.
It was nice,
Especially
to
when
see
he's
that.
the actual guy on my team, not
right.
Taylor Gabriel.
Me
so.
too. I have him too. Tariq Cohen looks like almost an every week play now. He's their funky gadget player.
Funky gadget.
That's what he is. It's a pretty good kid show? The Funky Gadget
players?
Yeah. Or a band. Be a funk band from the 70s, I guess. But yeah, Taylor Gabriel's going to be up and down. He's going to be inconsistent. He's going to drive people nuts, I think, if they own him. But yeah, law of averages strikes.
Sometimes you just have to have a short memory. It's in the past.
Guys like Taylor Gabriel don't have 3 good games in a row.
No.
They just don't.
This week's picks, though, man, I'm looking forward to them.
Yeah, money in the bank.
Looking forward to them.
All right, well, before we get to those, we're going to look, I think we're going to web crawler these guys.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to web crawler these guys. Google.
Is that a search engine?
Yeah, of course it is.
Be
Do you not
careful
know
with the
segment?
jokes going over people's heads here.
Now,
Well, if you tune in every week,
Webcrawler.
if you tune in every week, you know that we changed the name of the segment to a different.
Even knowing that, which I did,
Every
I
week.
still didn't pick it up when he
What do
first
you
said
think
it.
web crawler is?
It's right in the
Yeah,
name.
You're crawling the
guess.
web.
It's right in the
I
name.
guess.
All right, so yeah, we don't Google guys. We like to go. We're trying to get money, and web crawler.
It's like the hipster way to search things.
that's right,
Yeah.
and we're cool. The hipster way to search things is go to the library.
Yeah, oh yeah, a little microfilm.
A little microfiche. But anyway, we're going to web crawler some of the highest trending players this week for various reasons. We got a trade, we got injuries, we got all sorts of stuff. Start with this week's biggest trade, Amari Cooper. This week's only trade, I guess, so far. Amari Cooper going to the Cowboys. My favorite thing about this is the back-to-back bye weeks for Amari Cooper.
I didn't even realize that.
Which his owners probably,
hilarious.
I said before, his owners are like, oh, his 5th bye week of the season because he hasn't shown up for 3 other games. But Amari Cooper to the Raiders, outlook for Cooper, outlook for Dak, outlook for Raiders receivers.
First of all, the Cowboys really gave up a first-round pick for him.
Sure did. But
Like-
that doesn't matter for fantasy.
No, it doesn't. It's
Real
just crazy.
life,
It's just crazy.
we're
But obviously they
confused.
believe in him,
Sure.
right?
Clearly.
Now, the good thing for his future production, I guess, is that he's on a bye week. Doesn't really help you if you're looking to
Well, he's not going to miss a game like Carlos Hyde.
get any stats for him, but he's going to have 2 weeks to fully immerse himself in the old playbook.
Yeah, that complicated Cowboys offense.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Dak doesn't look great, but you could also argue Dak has a lot of help from the receiving side. Can't hurt Dak, right? It's got to be better for him.
Unless he tries to force it to Cooper every play, then we get into some weird. But no, I think though it's a lot tougher for a receiver joining a team in week 7,
Absolutely.
week 8
Now, what do you
than
think
people think. Because I've heard a lot of analysts, they've been like, Dak's got no excuses now.
Right.
I'm like, really?
Yeah.
A decent receiver joining the team in week 8 is just that's the cure-all?
Do you think that
I don't know.
cowboy mystique is going to really turn the switch in his head?
Nope.
To be like, oh, now I'm going to be the guy everyone thought I was going to be coming out of college.
No, I don't.
The guy it hurts maybe a little bit is who we saw come up last week with 81 yards and a TD is Michael Gallup, who people were probably really excited about him before the season. They didn't do a lot. Thought, okay, maybe he's finding a role. Now he's going to have to deal with Cooper a little bit.
Well, I thought that was funny. I mean, we put him on our waiver wire list, but it was like, yeah, he had one play basically. A little stop and start, beat the guy, had a long touchdown. 2 weeks ago. I don't know. Well, but no, you're right. You're right. Help. It doesn't help. But then you go, what if it does?
Oh,
what if he's taking attention away?
You got Cole Beasley working the slot.
I mean, he's running free, single coverage.
Put him in the playoffs.
I love how we can justify anything as a good move, but
angles, man.
Hit those angles. Hit them angles. So ultimately, we think good for Cooper. Can't be worse for Cooper.
Can't really be.
Can't be worse for Dak.
Definitely not worse for Dak.
And then the question is, but Dak doesn't really. He's still Dak. He's still, 15th, 16th, just sort of in a vacuum most weeks.
Does it help Elliott at all?
Opens things up. People can't put 8 in the box. Or maybe they can. I don't know. Like you want to say something negative, Alex.
You know me so well.
Yeah.
If teams are truly giving Amari Cooper the respect, then I guess it will help their offense, but the reason I'm not too confident is this guy just can't catch the ball.
That doesn't help.
He doesn't catch the ball. He's got, I think, the worst drop percentage of any receiver in the last couple of years.
He's definitely had a problem with dropsies.
Something like that. I've been trying to find the exact stat and failing. But
we'll just assume he's terrible.
It's pretty bad. And that's not going to change. Like him going to the Cowboys is not going to all of a sudden maybe they have a different pass catching.
He doesn't really like playing on the baseball infield in Oakland. So now that he's
September.
Now that he's going to be off that.
Those September games, he doesn't.
He think that impacts his hand.
I think so. Yeah.
He's sick of a quarterback.
Because you have
bursting into tears all the time, like Derek Carr does,
and you get to the dirt instead of the grass. It's a different level. It's about an inch off, right? So
that's why they have warning tracks in baseball.
It could throw your whole catching radius off.
Yeah, no,
that's some serious.
I mean, this really could go either way. He could just keep being the Amari Cooper we've seen at Oakland.
He's probably going to be that person.
He probably will be, especially where he's joining the team.
So,
I do think more consistent targets. I do think he will get more consistent targets.
61 receivers have at least 75 targets since start of last season.
Mm-hmm.
This is the list of worst catch percentage.
Okay.
Josh Doxson, 45%.
He's not good. That was.
Alshon Jeffrey.
All right.
At 48%. Jarvis Landry, which is surprising to see at 50%.
He had so many targets.
And
and look who he had throwing to him last year.
It's like the shortstops. They get to a lot of balls, so they misplay more.
And look who he had throwing.
Yeah. And then Amari Cooper is fourth worst out of the 61 players.
Not good.
Targets.
He lapsed in focus sometimes.
I'm telling you, it's the infield.
Right. But so I guess the real question, does this make you want to try to trade for Amari Cooper?
No.
Not at all.
No. If I have Amari Cooper, I'm moderately excited for a change of scenery. You don't have to think
about playing him 2 weeks in a row.
Even though I won't be able to play him for another week.
Right.
If I have Dak and I'm starting Dak, sure, it's good news, but I'm not going out of my way to change anything up.
And you should have better. And then Raiders receivers real quick. I guess a lot of people say, well, Jordy now becomes number one. I kind of think Martavis Bryant, if anyone breaks out, it'll be him.
Is he going to get suspended or what?
I don't know.
And
also, could Derek Carr throw it to him downfield? Could he catch the ball? There's a lot of issues.
Are the Raiders going to show up on Sunday? Like that? They just seem not.
Hey, what if they? What if this is galvanizing? Derek Carr crying galvanizes the team. I don't know. I don't think.
Look for more Jared Cook targets.
That's well, and look, I think we'll talk about this guy next. Screw it. Let's just talk about him. Jalen Richard could be check down king, getting a lot more targets, and we'll talk about him because another guy who's been popular on Webcrawler this week is Marshawn Lynch, out for the year, possibly career over. Which
not a career-ending injury though.
No,
just coinciding with
32 and bored career ender. He's already retired once, but he's out. He's done for the year. No need to talk about him. Obviously, I think he could technically come back.
Right,
I think
week 16.
Let's face it, he's not coming back.
Yeah, they're in full tank mode.
So that leaves your boy.
Hey, man, you made fun of me last week.
And I will continue to.
Early bird gets the worm.
You used a waiver claim on Doug Martin during his bye week.
Now who's got Doug Martin?
Yeah, who's going to get 2.3 points this week?
Not going to help your fantasy team.
What?
I mean,
why not?
He's not?
When's the last time he's helped anyone's fantasy team?
Like fast forward to this week, guys. When he's in my starting lineup.
Doug Fartin is your farter. You're farting Doug Fartin is what you're telling me.
Stop trying to push your lame jokes.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
No, it's not. It's clever.
Go back to Webcrawler.
Are you upset that I have him a little bit, though? Because you had Lynch.
Well, this week I am because Breida's hurt. Henry's on bye. Smith's on bye.
I feel like you're just committed to making fun of me, but you're kind of annoyed that I got him last week.
Just for this week. But I know he's not going to do anything.
Right.
So I am happy about that. But that's the question. So Marshawn Lynch this season is averaging 17.5 touches a game. I think he's had 3 games over 20.
Those all go to Martin.
Well, that's the question, right? Do they?
No, probably not.
How many go to Richard? How many go to DeAndre Washington? He seems to be the forgotten man who was super popular a couple years ago. Who would you rather have for the rest of the year? Because I think everyone goes to Martin because it's like, well, he'll get goal line carries, right? He was good in 2014.
I mean, I think
and once before that in 2011.
PPR, it's a no-brainer. It's Richard.
Okay.
Because he's already getting a lot of targets. He's actually second on the team in targets.
Right.
Before they've even traded Cooper or done anything. He's already second. That can only really go up. He's going to play more with Lynch. Not on the field. They're going to be behind just as much, if not more, than they were.
They were behind a lot, and Lynch still got, like I said, 17.
Well, they're going to continue to be behind.
He caught 2 or 3 every game for a little something.
You've got a less established running back in front of him. So PPR.
Doug Martin's less established?
Than Marshawn Lynch?
Doug Martin's led the league in rushing before.
He's less established than Marshawn Lynch.
All right.
Well, he's less good than Marshawn Lynch.
I'll give you that one.
So I think PPR, it's a no-brainer. Richard goes right into flex play.
Yeah.
I think.
And it was 2015. I kept saying 2015 Doug Martin was good.
Come on, get your Doug Martin stats.
I got to get that right.
Right. But I think Martin, listen, bye weeks, injuries, all of a sudden the last couple of weeks, running backs are dropping like flies. Of course you got to pick this guy up.
Well, of course you got to.
And you might need to start him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Colts aren't a terrible matchup either this week.
I'm going with the Martin Mack dueling backfield in the same game this week. That's exciting.
You think Marlon Mack has 3 good games in a row? Is Marlon Mack the type of guy who has 3 good games in a row?
I'm hoping for it, man.
I don't think he is.
I'm hoping for it.
I don't think he is. But anyway, that's Doug Martin though, real quick. 2012 rookie year, 1454, 12 total touchdowns, over 1,900 total yards, 49 catches, 319 carries.
Yeah.
Didn't he have multiple 200-yard games or 4 touchdowns?
That was a year he had 3 or 4 really big games, 3 big games that kind of inflated. Then the next year, 6 games, terrible. The next year, 11 games, terrible. Then all of a sudden, 2015, 1,400 yards. Doug Martin's back. 16, 17 injuries.
So he's due.
It is a pattern.
I mean, that's always
true. My Isaiah Crowell logic.
That's your logic. He's due.
He is due. All right, Carlos Hyde. Traded at the end of last week, didn't play last week because of the Friday trade. He's also, he's not as popular this week, but we carried him over. Webcrawler's a little behind Google on that anyway, so I think he's still doing fine there. Last week was a mess for his owners, obviously. They were feeling good. They had him going against Tampa. Next thing you know, out.
Yep.
So we look at it now. To me, that trade, my question is, what does this say about Leonard Fournette? I feel this says Leonard Fournette's more injured than maybe we think.
I don't think it's even a question.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's obviously he's not. They're not planning on getting much from him if they traded for Carlos Hyde.
Well, yeah. I mean, all they had to give up was a 5th round pick.
They didn't give up a ton.
They didn't give up much.
And they're a playoff hopeful team that can't afford to throw games away.
But what's funny about that is then he didn't even play the first game.
Well,
so
playbook.
So you got him for week. Well, no, I understand why he didn't. But what I'm saying is, you basically have him. If Fournette really is coming back after the bye, you traded for him for 1 game against one of the best run defenses in the NFL.
It's just probably insurance for Fournette, period.
Right. So if Fournette comes back after the bye, they play the Eagles this week in the UK, then they have a bye. Are they splitting carries? I feel they are. I don't think Fournette's getting 20-plus touches.
Maybe at first, until they trust that Fournette is healthy and strong again.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is too with Fournette, even if his hamstring is healthy, he can't be in great shape if you miss.
Probably not.
At that point, he'll miss almost 9 weeks of a football season, and it's a leg injury. So he's probably on a stationary bike
or underwater treadmill,
treadmilling, maybe
doing dry swings, sock throws. What's he doing?
It's gonna and maybe they got Hyde because they realized Blake Bortles is terrible, and they're gonna have to run the ball 50 times a game, straight
up option offense,
and play defense for the rest of the season because their season's in a little bit of trouble right now.
It's in a lot of trouble, and so I mean, Yeldon, obviously, if you have him, you keep him. But I almost feel like he's just a PPR flex this week. We don't know exactly what's going to happen.
It's a tough matchup against Philly
and it's a brutal matchup
for all of them. But it's a home game, though.
It is a home game.
It's a home game in London.
Those Jags fans in the UK are rabid. And then, of course, the fallout on the Browns. Nick Chubb now just the man. Just went from 3 carries a game to boom, 18.
Look, Hugh said they had to get him more involved.
I did. And
no, Hugh, not you.
No, I did too. And yeah, I also wonder too. It didn't happen last week, but I thought Duke Johnson would become the Duke Johnson we saw last year.
Still no. Still nowhere to be found.
So
Chubb looked good though.
Chubb has looked pretty good in his limited touches this year. I mean, it was a great matchup last week. This week, a little tougher matchup against the Steelers. We'll see how he does. Yeah. But
would have liked to have seen Chubb catch a few passes last week, but
right. I would have seen Duke catch a few passes last week.
So on Hyde, 23 running backs have gotten at least 250 rushing attempts in the last 2 seasons combined. He has
parameters.
250.
Yeah.
In the last 2 seasons, that's pretty solid number.
Legit.
250,000.
Thank you.
He has
teaching me fractions.
He has the lowest yards per rush of any of them. 3.7.
Yeah, I mean 3.7 though is adequate.
He's not pretty bad.
You can live it. It's the worst in the league.
You're talking about Hyde.
Yeah. So
well, no, I mean of that carry. I mean it's not good, but it's like
the worst in the league.
I mean there's been guys who've been like 3.2, like Gurley had a year where he was like 3.2 or 3.3. It's not good.
If you average 3.7 yards on every carry, you'll have first downs.
That's a good argument. But if you get 20 a game,
like that.
But I also look at who he's played for. Obviously, I think Hurts. I mean, factor in his receiving last year in San Francisco. He caught like 50 balls or something.
Every time I see Hyde play, though, I feel like he's like spry though.
I know.
Like he looks kind of good, but then you look at his stats in the game, and you're like,
I think to me that's a big question for Hyde's fantasy value is he going to catch any passes? Because he proved he could do that last year, I feel like. And then this year, what does he have? Yeah, last year he caught 59 passes.
That's a lot.
And this year he has 6. So, that's not good.
And Duke Johnson doesn't have that many.
But here's the thing about Carlos Hyde. I mean, you bring up the last 2 years, and obviously recency matters a lot with running backs because we know they wear down. But his first 3 years in the league, 4.1, 4.6 yards per carry. Last year, 3.9. So this year, he's struggling a lot. 3.4. It's not great.
New team, new offense.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it helps. But, overall, it's just like, I mean, obviously you're not dumping him. You're keeping him for now.
He's pretty much a 4 yard per carry guy. It's fine. 4.44 score.
Yeah, he's okay. But, it's just...
Nick Chubb's averaging 7.4 yards.
Well, he had those 2 runs in one game.
Yeah,
I know, but
I think every other game... Well, he'd only had 3 carries a game.
At 18 for 80, which is pretty good.
A little over 4.
4.4.
So, overall... I think overall it's just a bad situation for everyone except Nick Chubb owners. If you owned Yeldon, if you owned Fournette, if you owned Hyde, you're just like, well, this sucks.
Yeah.
And then if you got Nick Chubb, you're like, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What could be better?
And just like we already mentioned it, but how does he get traded for a 5th rounder, but then Amari Cooper gets traded for a first? Like the value.
Well, because he only averages 3.4 yards.
Yeah, Amari Cooper also has trash.
The 5th makes sense, but the first doesn't.
Yeah, that was a weird one. All right, another guy. This guy hopefully coming back from injury, Randall Cobb. And I think what's interesting about him. So 3 weeks he's been out plus the bye, right? So 4, and his ownership in Yahoo leagues dropped to under 50%. So it was just like an out of sight, out of mind. People were like,
bye weeks. People have roster crunches.
That too, right? And it's like, this guy doesn't play anyway. And actually, even when he played weeks 2 and 3, he didn't do anything. So he had the one game in week 1, which was that late, huge touchdown. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, this guy hasn't done any. This guy's had one play all season. That's it.
Is he done?
I don't know. I'm waiting for Alex's of guys with 82 targets over the last 41 games, how he's done. But, I mean,
250 is such an obscure number.
That's the question, right? What is Randall Cobb? Like philosophically, what is Randall
I think
Cobb?
he's a slot receiver for the Packers.
Okay.
How many seasons in his career do you think he's had 1,000 yards?
2.
1.
954 1 year. Come on.
I mean, that's less than
Alex-
1,000.
Yeah, but in 15 games, I was pacing it out.
That's
Alex,
Give him 16
He's
games.
not going to let that slide.
No.
In 16 games, he would have had that ish. That's what I say. But anyway, so no, it's. I mean,
It's not the guy's name value is so much higher than anything he's done on the field in his career.
I agree. And that's the question. Now, we look at his numbers 9 for 142, touchdown week 1, then 4 for 30, 4 for 22. Lost a fumble that week. I think one of
Those were the Aaron Rodgers torn ACL weeks.
Right.
Though.
Well, he still has a torn ACL, but it's getting better, which surprises
He's not even wearing a knee brace this week.
I know. It's really.
It was a bone bruise.
Tough as nails. But I can't. One of those games, he had like a double-digit targets, which we always like. Yeah, I don't know what to make of them. And of course, what do you make of other Packers wide receivers now? Devontae Adams is still the stud, number one, but Geronimo Allison's coming back too this week, they think. Marquez Valdes-Scantling had shown up while these guys were out. What's happening?
I think Cobb's a slot guy, plays all the time, and I think it remains to be seen if Allison or Valdes-Scantling is one kind of the wide receiver 2 job.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. Do we have any way of knowing? How many guys have gone through the Packers system the past few years that have come in as injury replacements or out of nowhere or whatever, where Rodgers has made look great?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have no idea who's better between Valdes-Scantling and Allison. We know Adams is going to be their number 1, and I'm pretty sure Cobb's just going to go back and be their slot guy.
But
he
what
has
does
big
that
games.
mean?
It means he's on the field most of the time.
Does that mean you're playing him every week in fantasy?
Probably not. You can probably do better than Cobb.
Okay. But he's going to have good games. We know that.
Here and there, a lot of guys are going to have good games.
A lot of guys. Willie Snead and Taylor Gabriel might have good games. Yeah, I think he's just a slot guy. Yeah. I think Alex is right. His name value makes him seem a lot better than and the fact that Aaron Rodgers is quarterback.
Getting off that team.
State Farm commercials.
Who would you rather play on a given week? Cole Beasley or Randall Cobb?
Randall Cobb. He's way cooler than Cole Beasley.
Yeah, but who's going to score more points? I don't think there's much
Beasley
difference.
Ain't that good.
There's not much difference. That's my point.
But now he's going to have the field opened up for Amari there.
But that's my point, though. He's just
you're right.
A regular slot receiver who may grab a touchdown here and there.
I'd play him over Adam Humphries, though. I'll tell you that right now.
That's pretty low. But you wouldn't play him over Godwin.
No. I play Godwin.
Really their number 3. He's not their slot, but he's their number 3.
Might be their number 2, honestly. Deshaun Jackson's back to just being. Jameis and Deshaun can't get on the same page. Yeah. That's all.
But that's my point. Cobb is more in the Cole Beasley camp than the
No, I agree.
Devontae Adams camp.
Or like the
whatever.
Kenny Galladay camp. Yeah. Another number 10. Obviously, they're not alike, but just secondary receivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. It's a weird one. He's a weird guy. I think
we all agree. All 3 of us agree on that?
I think so. I think the public, because when I saw it was under 50%, I'm like, these rube owners.
But typically you're lazy with your analysis. Right. So you're like,
am I?
Randall Cobb, why does no one own Randall Cobb?
Is that what I said?
Yeah, and then we come in and we talk some sense into you.
That's
and you're
true.
Like, you know what? I don't need him.
No, you guys were right. I actually do need him, though, because my team's not very good. All right, last guy, trending high, Matt Breida. Gave fantasy owners, including this one, the big fat negative last week. 5 snaps total, managed to lose a fumble in those 5, aggravated his ankle injury. It was such a trap. Did we talk about that last week? Like the Monday Night Packers game where he scored a touchdown and looked good. It was a total trap.
Yep.
And granted, he aggravated his injury, so it was a little different. But now we're sitting here. We know this guy tries to play through everything.
Good effort. He's got a lot of good effort.
And this week, by far the best matchup a fantasy running back can have against the Cardinals. It's this late afternoon game. You're going to have to deal with that. So unless you got Eric's boy Mozart making sweet music, Raheem Mozart.
He does make some sweet music when he comes to the line.
The question is, do you know a baseball player was nicknamed Sweet Music from our youth?
Yeah, no, sweet music. Yeah, Frank Viola.
There it is.
Nice.
Minnesota Twins world champion.
As I stare at the Twins hat today.
That's right. Yeah, that's why I wore it.
Do they have a game tonight, or?
I think a scrimmage. Arizona Fall.
One of those October scrimmages.
You know how it is.
Nice.
But Breida, we don't know what's going to happen with him this week. I can't imagine he gets a full complement of carries.
Probably going to get a shot in his ankle at some point.
Even if he's active.
How many games do you think he's had 15 touches this year?
Breida? Oh, I don't even know if he's had any. Maybe 1, but that's it.
None.
Yeah, because he was like the yards per touch guy early on, like just killing it. But that was when they were getting Alfred Morris involved, and then he wasn't at all 2 weeks ago. He only got involved last week. I feel like Morris is kind of on the outs.
Definitely phased out. Well, because Mozart's good.
Yeah.
7 for 59 last week.
Week before.
Here's the thing. It's not just this week against the Cardinals. They've got Cardinals, Raiders, Giants coming up next. So if Breida was either healthy and could play, that'd be great. If he would just sit down and you could play Mozart for the next 3 weeks.
But I don't have him, so that doesn't help me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's the question, right? It's like, what's this split, this trio going to look like the rest of the year? And I really think Morris is being phased out, but obviously if Breida's out, I think there'll be a split.
Yeah.
But if Breida's healthy, I think it's mostly going to be him and Raheem Mozart.
I mean, it's going to be whichever one's the best pass catcher, right? Because that team's going to start getting blown out every week.
I think
they're a feisty little offense.
Yeah, and I think Mozart and Breida are pretty similar catching the ball. Like, they're pretty similar backs all around. Morris is clearly the worst at that. I feel confident saying.
I like Mozart the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. All right. I'm with it.
I mean, the ceiling is only going to be so high, right? But
it's high against the Cardinals. I mean, I know that much.
He should get at least, whether Breida plays or not. I feel like he's earned 10 carries a week the next 3 weeks, and the game script shouldn't be a problem in any of those games.
I think he's a fantasy starter this week, even if Breida's active.
We know now that Breida being active doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Exactly. So that's how I see that one. All right.
Start Mozart.
He could be our running back sleeper this week, but we already talked about him. But we're going to move on to the week 3 sleepers and busts. Eric and I make our picks. Alex comes in with stats, and we argue about them. We always start with quarterbacks. And at this point, I don't know if this guy even qualifies as a sleeper anymore. He might be an every week start for some people.
You think old Mitch is an every week starter?
Old Mitchell Trubisky. Playing the Jets this week at home. They have banged up secondary. He's probably going to throw some picks still, 1 or 2. I will say this, though. The 2 picks he threw last week, both awesome plays by Patriots defensive backs.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
He makes up for the picks. With
those legs.
Yep.
43 rushing yards each of the last 3 games.
He didn't go out of bounds last week and cut back in and got another 15 or so.
But you know what? That kind of stuff is why you drill a quarterback by the sideline that guys get flagged for.
Yeah.
They do that little rope-a-dope. Just cruising out of bounds. Right. Boom. I don't like it. Hit him. But anyway, Mitchell Trubisky, at least he's had 181 rushing yards the last 3 weeks total.
That's a lot.
Raises that floor, man.
Quarterbacks with 10 or so carries.
Well, I'm waiting for Alex.
Where's he rank
on that one? But yeah, I think he's had at least 3 touchdowns in 3 straight games, and matchups matter there too. But it's pretty legit, and I think this week, as we're going to talk about, there's some regular starters with really bad matchups, and I would start him over them.
Can we just? I'm sure a lot of our fans are aware, but this kind of shocked me when I just looked at his points for the last 3 weeks. 55, 33, 35.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Is he even a sleeper? Or is he just a locked-in starter?
He's woke.
Alex is woken out of Mitchell Trubisky.
I was not woke.
Alex is woke to Mitchell Trubisky.
Now I am
wokeness.
Quite woke.
Yeah, and I like that SKY at the end of his name. I know he's got those strong Czech origins.
I feel better about it if it was SKI.
Well, that's... All right, I'm not going to make Polish jokes, but anyway, so Mitchell Trubisky is there.
So with quarterbacks who have had
we're going to 5 qualifiers before he spits the stat out.
Quarterbacks with at least 50 rushing yards this year.
Born west of Mississippi. Okay. All right.
Trubisky has the highest yards per carry, 7.9.
Well, I don't care about yards per carry for a quarterback at all.
Yards per attempt.
I don't care about that at all.
Yards per rush?
No, all I care about is actual rushing yards from a quarterback. I do not care about yards per yards per
So
rush.
only Cam Newton has more than him.
Okay. That is something I want to hear. That's something I want to hear.
But Cam Newton is only averaging 4.9 yards per rush, while Trubisky's averaging 7.9.
It's not like they're going to be like, hey, man, you're averaging 8 yards a carry. We should run you more.
So the Jets...
maybe they would.
The Jets only give up 14.7 rushing yards per game to quarterbacks.
Lots of numbers getting thrown around right
and
now.
And 3.3 yards per carry to quarterbacks. Okay. How does that change things, Alex?
If A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
It's not that complicated. I mean, they got better guys to spy the quarterbacks.
Sure. What team gives up the
or they have no pass rush and the quarterback doesn't have to leave the pocket.
What team gives up the most rushing yards per game to quarterbacks?
God, who cares?
The Giants.
I was going to say Giants.
And who gives up the most yards per carry to quarterbacks?
Who cares even less?
The Washington Redskins.
Can we move on? That stat means nothing.
Doesn't it?
Yards per rush for quarterback means nothing.
Well, how about this?
Nothing.
Eli Manning.
Oh my God.
The Giants and Redskins are playing each other this week.
Start Eli.
Eli's going to run all over him.
Start Eli.
All right. So Mitch Trubisky.
Please, can we move on?
If he still counts as a sleeper, I'm saying Mitch Trubisky. Who do you got?
I'm going to reluctantly go with Baker Mayfield at Pittsburgh. Hate taking a rookie on the road, but I refuse to
take a rivalry game.
But I refuse to take Case Keenum at Arrowhead.
That's stupid.
But you know what? Real quick, Keenum's probably going to throw for 300 yards. But
yeah, he will.
It's going to be a gross game, and he's going to throw picks. And
he's thrown one every game this year.
You'd rather watch Baker anyway. You'd rather throw Baker into your lineup.
I'm going to cut you off.
Oh. Excuse me.
No, I have this.
I'm going to stop you right there.
I have this exact decision because Philip Rivers on bye. And I'm choosing between Baker, Keenum, and Derek Carr.
Derek Carr's out.
Crybaby Derek Carr.
He's out.
Why are you crying?
Maybe throwing out, now that I see these Giants rushing stats, I might change to Alex Smith.
Baker has the highest.
Redskins.
Baker has the highest yards per rush for any of those.
Well, that's
new information.
Hold on.
New information.
What's the Steelers?
5.86.
Steelers are one of the top teams in allowing yards per carry total rushing yards per game.
It's all lining up.
24.3. All right. So Keenum got.
Why don't you just take Baker as my sleeper?
Well, I took him on my fantasy team, so I kind of did. But Keenum got shut down in Denver against the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. No way he has two bad games against the Chiefs. They're too bad of a defense.
No way Case Keenum can have two bad games.
No, he can.
No, he'll throw for 300.
Well, so before...
you know what? He'll throw for 300 and probably throw 2 scores.
Before last week...
At least, how about, we'll say 3 turnovers.
All right, before last week... because they cruised last week, they were up 28-3 before you could blink, and they just coasted, and they had a wide receiver touchdown pass.
Right.
His 2 games before that, he'd averaged 350 yards, 2 touchdowns each game. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel that
he's going to throw for 300 yards, and he's going to throw 2 TDs. Right. And he's going to have 3 turnovers.
Yeah, probably at least 2 turnovers. But Baker could fall. Baker Mayfield. I hate people who use first names. Baker Mayfield could fall flat on his face in Pittsburgh.
He
absolutely could.
Absolutely could.
Because I think his 2 road starts this year, he's been sacked 7 times and
they're
committed 4 turnovers.
He's probably going to turn. He's going to.
And those were against the Raiders and Bucs.
He's going to turn the ball over too.
Yeah.
You know what?
He's way more fun to have on your team.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're 1-6. You're like, why not?
You seen the commercial? He's endorsing these dress shoes now of some brand I've never heard of.
Like Matt Stafford and Van Heusen?
That was a weird one, but at least I'd heard of Van Heusen. Mm-hmm. It's like Baker Mayfield, like he's some GQ dude walking down the street, and then they show the shoes, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Is this man going to buy these shoes because Baker Mayfield
Are they the shoes with the springs in the soles that were always in the
they're not like the Joe Montana Skechers.
Well, not the Sky. There's the Sky Mall ones that were even like.
No, it's
even
weird.
Better.
Look for it this weekend.
But Derek Carr, we're out on?
Pass.
No,
Pass.
Amari's gone. He galvanizes.
Nope.
All right. Nope.
Pass on Carr.
Nope, it is. All right, bust. I'm going back to this well. We've said this guy before, and he's always been pretty good. My boy, I know, I hate saying it. But because it's a Jags home game in the UK, and I'm going Carson Wentz.
Crazy crowd there.
Dude, those guys, those fans.
Those fans are so into the Jags. They're like, wait, this is the team you're giving us?
Those fans, and they're wearing random NFL apparel.
Because I just want to talk about the games in the UK real quick.
All right.
Because we work with a lot of people from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care.
What?
They care because it's an event happening that day and they can go bet on it and watch a football game. As soon as the NFL leaves for the weekend, they don't care about football. They don't watch our regular Sundays. They don't care. They don't like the Jags. They don't like anything.
Someone cares.
Very few people.
Very few. I was cut some pictures from last week's game, which was Chargers Titans, and I was just looking at all the different. There was a Justin Tuck Giants jersey.
I like it.
A Doug Fartin Bucks jersey.
Nice.
2 people in Browns jerseys. Right. I think there was a Kaepernick jersey in the picture. It was just.
It's a day for them to have a big event.
It felt like they were actors. Like crisis actors the NFL hires to show up. Like the tags the tags are still on the jerseys. They're like, go football.
They don't care much.
It's
a big event and they care that day and then they don't care.
All right, but Carson Wentz. So he's been pretty good, even though I don't think he's been great in real life, but his fantasy numbers are always like pretty solid by the end of every game. But Jacksonville Jaguars, fewest passing yards allowed per game, obviously the quarterbacks, 195.4. They are giving up 25.6 rushing yards a game to quarterbacks.
Ooh, watch out for that.
5 yards a carry. We'll see, but because
they're going to want to work on that in the film room.
But they're third fewest overall fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. Like I said, lowest passing yards. You never know how the London games go. The Jags are obviously reeling. Is this a pack-it-in game for them, going to their bye, just total turmoil, or do they galvanize?
Galvanize behind the home crowd.
Is it worth mentioning what the Jags did in London last year?
Sure. What'd they do?
They
against who?
Beat the Ravens 44-7.
Joe Flacco.
That sounds like a home field advantage if I've ever heard one.
Joe Flacco threw for 28 yards. And
what, in the first quarter, or?
In the whole game.
I feel like there might have been some weather in that game.
Blake Bortles threw for 244 yards and 4 TDs with no picks. So
no team with a bigger home field advantage.
The Jags looked good last year. I don't know if that matters.
I mean, I don't mind Wentz. Again, this is more a product.
He'll get us 250 and 2.
A guy like Mitch Trubisky, who I think is going to be better this week. That's all.
He'll get us 250 and 2.
All right, who do you got?
I got your boy, another one of your boys. You're a big Lions fan. I'm going to take Matt Stafford versus Seahawks. It's a home game. I don't love taking a bust at home, but surprisingly, the Seahawks actually give up the least amount of fantasy points to quarterbacks. No longer the Legion of Doom.
Right.
That's the Legion of Whom. But you know what? They're still,
my Doug Fartin joke is way better.
They're playing some good D, though, and there's just better options out there. Yeah. They also, but as good as the Seahawks pass defense been, they give up the 9th most points to rushing yards. Your boy
to running backs.
To running backs.
Correct.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Fantasy points to running backs. Kerryon Johnson's
Mr. 100.
Been running well. 2 100-yard games now.
Mr. 100.
Yeah, they've only given up over 275 yards of passing in half the games. 3 out of 6 games have given up more. So.
I mean, Stafford is like a solid. You talk about 250 and 2. Like, that's his baseline. Last week was a fairly tough matchup against the Dolphins.
Well, his last 217 and 183.
Right.
And that coincides with...
But 2 touchdowns every game.
Right.
Yeah.
That coincides with Johnson being that big 100-yard rusher lately.
That's right. And I don't like the Seahawks coming off a bye. Again, like you said, even though it's in Detroit. Seahawks off a bye are going to have some wacky crap. I'm really scared about that running back. Everyone thinks they know. It's like Chris Carson's the guy. Old Cheatin' Pete coming off a bye is going to do something wacky. I don't want to see it. But
don't forget about the Legion of Home.
Yeah, no, say it again. I heard you the first time. And I'll also throw Cam Newton's name in the mix against the Ravens. Second fewest. Cam, this is another of my law of averages. Cam, his career has been all about highs and lows, right? Roller coaster, inconsistent. So this year, he's been the model of consistency. He's just like 2 touchdowns every week, 40 rushing yards. He's due to have one of his the classic Cam. All right, running backs. Injuries dominated running backs this week. All 4 of our guys, both sleepers and busts, are guys who are, going to get more playing time, I think, because of injuries. And I'm starting with Kenyon Barner against the Bills. I can't imagine Sony Michel plays.
Nope.
Monday night game. This is a classic Patriots cakewalk. Icing that lead in the 4th.
Another Pat scrimmage, midseason scrimmage.
Icing that. Although Thurman Thomas is getting inducted in the Ring of Honor, so
the Bills might be jazzed.
Bills Mafia pumped. But yeah, I just think this is they're going to be icing that game, and I just think Kenyon Barner is going to get 15 touches.
Yeah, I actually don't think James White's going to get the ball any more than he normally does. Yeah. I don't think they want to risk him getting hurt. With Michelle already hurt, and this game doesn't. I'm not going to say it doesn't mean a lot, but I think they can win.
Well, it means a lot if they lose.
Yeah, and they can win it with whoever. It's really what I want to say.
That'll be the question.
I think they'll just run Barner around. They don't care about him. They don't care about his knees. And
that's a Patriots thing, right?
Yeah.
It's Kenyon Barner getting 2 touchdowns on a Monday night.
2, maybe 3.
And fantasy owners being like, what? Who?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
So that's my pick.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to go a little bit of a qualifier here.
Warm it up.
Because Dirk Cutter.
Rev the engine.
Dirk Cutter's not giving us injury info yet. He's being a little coy. He doesn't want the Bengals to be able to prepare for. Doesn't want them to know if they should prepare for Ronald Jones II or Peyton Barber. Because I'm sure they're going to change up their scheme. But if Barber's out, get that Ferrari out of the garage. Ronald Jones II. Bengals, they give up the 5th most fantasy points to running backs. And he might be the only show in town.
Jacquizz Rodgers, if you do start Ronald Jones, you'll be mad about how much Jacquizz Rodgers is playing. I guarantee that.
Probably. But the one positive thing, if you can take for anything with Jones, is when he's been playing lately, he's actually been kind of the passing down back.
A little bit.
Which, coming out of USC, we talked in the preseason, the
preseason
jokes that basically the coach made about him catching passes and how we didn't do it in college and all that. But he's actually been there passing down back. So I think that's a positive sign.
Yeah.
And it's not a great D. But, we don't know about this Peyton Barber injury. Maybe Dirk Cutter will let us know at some point before Sunday.
Yeah.
Can't let that injury news get out.
Yeah, Bengals, one of 9 teams allowing over 100 running back rushing yards a game. They're also allowing about 56 running back receiving yards a game. Obviously, Kareem Hunt really inflated their total fantasy points last week, but they're not particularly good against backs.
Get that Ferrari revved up.
That's right. Better do it. Alex, Ronald Jones is your boy. You got
time to shine.
Yeah, I can't really back up anything I said earlier in the year because this guy is clearly terrible.
Next week, listen, show up to the podcast next week. You can gloat all about it's his time.
I'm taking the L on that one.
Yeah. No, but he could finish the season strong. It's absolutely possible if he starts getting those opportunities. All right, going to the bus. I'm starting with Dalvin Cook's out. So obviously, Latavius Murray's been great the last 2 weeks. Got to get him in it. Saints, they're a bad defense, right?
Not if you peel back that onion a little bit right now.
Don't do lazy analysis, people. 30th in running back fantasy points allowed per game. How many teams are in the league? 32.
Wow, they must be bad.
The fewest running back rushing yards allowed per game. The Saints, 47.7.
Wow.
So Latavius Murray stung when Cook was out those other games, but he got 2 great matchups and did well these past 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, he could obviously score a touchdown. The Vikings are going to move the ball. I could definitely see a Adam Thielen pass interference in the end zone, first and goal from the 1.
What's funny, at least his touchdowns last week were both outside 10 yards.
That's right.
I don't remember him. I'm sure he's got a 1-yard run this year. But
the point is, he could score. I get it. He's the lead back. Most people are going to start a lead back. So it's tough to say sit Latavius Murray in a week with 4 buys and all these other injuries.
But most people aren't you.
Most people are better than me this year. But I do think that I think this is going to be a much, much tougher game than people realize. And if you are someone with Murray and you also have depth, you don't have to start him. I'll put it that way.
I have Murray and I have to start him.
There you go. And you'll probably get a 1-yard touchdown run.
Hopefully.
Now you're trying to look at another injury.
Similar situation, worse offense. But similar situation in that Bilal Powell's out.
Wow.
So Isaiah Crowell is probably the only show in town for the Bears, for the Jets against the Bears. But the Bears are pretty good against running backs. 4th fewest fantasy points. But they're at home. Maybe get back on track a little after the Patriots game last week. Jets on the road, not really feeling it. And I just don't see Crowell getting more than 50 yards.
So Crowell's up and down season, the pattern broke last week because he had 2 bad games in a row.
Yeah, he's on a down. So, I'm a little worried about him back on the upswing. But I feel like this isn't the game.
Alex will like this. So you look at Crowell's overall season numbers. You see 5.7 yards per carry. And you're like, damn, killing it. Well, 5 games this year, he's averaged 3.1 or less. The 2 other games, he averaged 14.6 and 10.2. So this is, the definition of boomer bust, right?
But this is also fun. This is fun with stats. Use the stats that make your argument.
Well, yeah, but the point is, I don't think he's very good. Just bottom line. And you say, hey, no Powell, he's getting 20 carries, 15 carries, 20 carries. Again, you got to start a guy getting that many carries. And normally I'd say you probably do. And it's another situation where there's people who probably are going to start him, and I don't blame them for starting him. But as you outlined, tough situation, and I could totally see Trenton Cannon, again, where you're watching going, why is Trenton Cannon playing so much? Where's Crowell? I thought he'd play every down with Powell hurt.
I could see the Jets having a couple early turnovers and having to throw the ball all game.
Yeah.
It's just got bad matchup written all over.
Also, I have to say this, I have to correct myself. All that giddiness we were talking about, the yards per carry for quarterbacks, I was looking at attempts per game. The yards per game was right.
Start the podcast over.
Leave the stats to me, all right?
The yards per game was right.
Over. We got to start from the beginning.
Not the yards per carry. But anyway, Alex, you're from New York. You must have insight on Isaiah Crowell.
Yeah, he had 1 good game.
2.
2 good games. 2. That's all I got for you.
That's it? All right, bang up job, Alex. All right, let's go to wide receiver sleepers. We're both going off the board
deep
with these B-holes. We're going to start with Cortland Sutton for the Broncos.
Okay.
Caught the touchdown on the trick play last week.
Yeah, you think there's more of that coming?
Yeah, I'm counting on Emmanuel Sanders passing touchdowns. No, I just think, again, this kind of goes back to Case Keenum. I think they are going to pass the ball. Obviously, he's the number 3. We know that. There's 2 established guys ahead of him, but I just kind of like getting in on the ground floor. Now, Demaryius Thomas, it doesn't sound like he's going to be traded. It's at least being talked about. Emmanuel Sanders has been battling an injury all year. I could see within a couple weeks, for whatever reason, Courtland Sutton being the number 2 there.
I like that you're trying to get on the ground floor.
I mean, that's all I got at this point. I don't know. I just think that he's really talented, first of all. I think we've seen that in his limited playing time. And it just seems to me like the type of guy who seems like the kind of guy to have a good game against the Chiefs.
Why not?
Garbage time, Courtland Sutton, why not?
Good guy.
What makes you think that he's so talented?
Well, I mean, he was one of these guys who was just every day in training. I mean, it's training camp.
Is he a spark guy?
Yeah, but every day in training camp, it was the beat reporters raving about him. He made this spectacular catch. He made this spectacular catch. He's made a couple this year in games. Yeah,
I trust those Denver Broncos beat reporters.
6'4", 216. Years
ago, they told us about Mr. Red Zone.
That's right.
Julius Thomas.
Yeah,
and averaging 17.6 yards a catch. That's really good.
I listen to those Broncos beat reporters.
Yeah,
if they tell me some guy's a training camp darling, I'm in.
Yeah,
Julius Thomas out of the league.
Yeah, he retired prior to this season.
Yeah. Did he retire or did just
he retired? No, because he had some injury stuff, and I think he's actually. I want to say he's getting involved in maybe some CTE or some other like research type stuff he wants to help out with. All around good guy, that Mr. Red Zone.
Yeah. He came through for me a couple times, seasons. But so do you have beef with Courtland Sutton or are you just
you're just figuring out what team Courtland Sutton's on before you can have beef with him?
That's true.
No, I just
good name.
It's just easy to throw around, the guy's so talented.
Sure.
But I feel like with receivers it's a lot more. Like you just look at a guy who's big and fast and say he's talented, but
like Traquan Smith, another guy who could break out.
Traquan Smith sounds so fast.
He does.
It's hard to measure route running and hands and just stuff that you just can't tell. Look at Amari Cooper.
Right. No, I'm with you.
You measured his hands earlier with all the drop percentage. So.
I just want to get in on the ground floor. Is all I'm saying.
I know you do.
The Courtland Sutton ground floor.
You're a buy low, sell high kind of guy.
I'm a buy low, sell low type of guy. All right, Eric.
I'm going deep as well.
You're going too deep.
I'm too deep.
I don't like this one.
Oh, he's going to catch. He will have a touchdown this weekend. You can book that. I'm going to go Jakeem Grant. Actually, he won't have it this weekend. He'll have it Thursday night. Jakeem Grant at the Texans. Kenny Stills is out. Albert Wilson's out. Danny Amendola ain't that great.
Come on, Danny, the guy who saved your season last year.
Amendola.
You have the
Devontae Parker is not involved in their offense at all.
No, he's not.
Grant's already had a couple big plays this year. He's going to do it. Amendola's going to lead the team in targets. Grant's going to score a touchdown.
Grant has had one game this year.
Yeah.
2 catches, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. I guess he did have a punt return touchdown too another game, but other than that, he hasn't had more than 38 yards in a game.
Well, rules are made to be broken.
It wasn't a rule. I was just telling you what
Trends
happened.
are made to be broken.
It was really just information.
Listen,
all right.
He's going to get a touchdown this week.
Okay. Book it.
That's it. Book it.
Alex, do you think Jakeem Grant's going to get a touchdown this week?
I don't.
Devontae Parker's playing this week.
That's fine. He's not.
They're trying to showcase him for a trade.
He's not involved in anything.
By the way, I'm not opposed to getting in on the ground floor on Devontae Parker right now either.
I mean, listen.
As his agent,
I've seen your team, man. Get on the ground floor. You can take that risk.
I can take risks. But his agent obviously bitched about Adam Gase, etc. I don't know if he's going to get traded. I don't know if he's going to start playing more because of these Albert Wilson, Kenny Stills injuries. Parker's going to do it when you least expect it.
Probably.
Like when you're just completely out on
Can I interest you in some Mike Gesicki extra targets this week?
But he's going to have a 4-game stretch. And only fancy owners are only going to catch one of those.
Just letting you know, Thursday night, tune in. All right. Jakeem Grant will have a touchdown.
I wasn't going to tune in until you said that, but now I might.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Fox.
Really pump NFL Network. Really pump those ratings. All right, Marvin Jones. That's my bust. Seahawks. Basically all the same reasons we talked about with Stafford.
Oh, Legion of Whom?
Yeah, God.
You want to mention them?
Yeah, I do. Legion of Whom is pretty good at covering receivers, and Marvin Jones is just a boomer bust.
He hasn't done much the last few weeks.
He scored a touchdown 2 games ago, but his only catch, it was an 8-yard catch.
That offense is transitioning into.
They're trying to run more. Obviously, Tate's the possession guy. They really like Galladay, especially in the red zone. Last week, it was Michael Roberts.
Who?
Exactly. LM-Rob. And
is that what they're calling him?
That's what I'm calling him. So, yeah, I'm just Jones. I don't know. He's a classic boomer bust. Could catch a touchdown, of course, but I just don't like this matchup for him.
Well, I'm going to go Nelson Aguilar. Last week, this is hard to do. 6 catches, 20 yards. He's just not going down the field. He's catching little short screens. He's averaging 8.5 yards a catch this year. Again, Jags home game. You've got Carson Wentz as the bust. We know that they can defend the pass. This isn't the week Aguilar comes back. I'm not even sure if you're starting this guy.
PPR, maybe you're still starting.
The team's done if you're starting him.
Well, you should not necessarily in PPR, but yeah,
he's been 6-3, 4-5, 4.
Right. No, it's been disappointing for sure. Yeah, the one game where he had the good game was because of broken play, like a batted ball that he caught and ran 31 yards. Yeah, it's been a bizarrely disappointing season for him, but it's all tight ends and Jeffrey.
It's basically been what he's been his whole career, except for a few games in the playoffs.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, and I think a lot of people, myself included, thought this was going to be like a breakout for him, especially when Jeffrey started injured, and it just
would rather have John Brown.
Yeah.
Can we go back to that? Can we go back to the Aguilar-John Brown debate?
No, it was D.D. Westbrook.
But there was some Aguilar.
Aguilar was thrown in there
too.
John Brown.
Can we put that debate to bed now?
Yeah, that one's to bed. All right, tight end, sleeper. A couple of good candidates this week. I like Ben Watson. Feels like I'm chasing points because he's coming off his best game. Six catches, 6 targets, 43 and a touchdown.
Is that what we call it when the guy has a good game and then
chasing points.
You like him and call it chasing points? Okay.
We should have our own chasing points segment, actually. If this was more professional, we would, but maybe next year. But anyway.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Maybe we get it sponsored.
All right. So you got all excited about your Legion of Whom, and now you're just going.
Legion of Whom's going to stick.
Now you're going too far. But anyway, Ben Watson. So the Vikings, another classic, like they're good, right? They're a good defense. They're an okay defense, but they've not been good against tight ends all season. 7th most fantasy points allowed. And then you look at who they played. You're like, well, George Kittle got 90 on him. He's good. Jimmy Graham, 95. He's good. Gave up a touchdown to Jason Kroom.
Who?
Exactly. I mean, Zach Ertz killed him. Fine. No shame in that. Ricky Seals-Jones. Talk about him in a minute. 69 yards against him. Pretty good.
If they gave up 69 yards to Ricky Seals-Jones,
and then last week,
must be bad.
Last week, Chris Herndon, 4 catches, 42 yards and a touchdown. They're just getting burned by tight ends pretty much almost every week. The only one they held in check was Gerald Everett in week 4. And that's because Cooper Kupp and Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods were just going nuts.
So you think Breeze has got a little certificate lined up for Ben Watson this week?
There's a certificate for Breeze. I think with no Ted Ginn, we like Traquan Smith as a breakout, the bottom line is there's just more targets. Few more targets. It's not like Ginn was getting a ton, but I just think the passing game now is a little. Breeze is just looking in different areas of the field, and I think Ben Watson benefits.
What is it about defense that they just can't handle tight ends? Is it the linebackers?
I mean, people say linebackers. Some people say safeties. I think it's mostly scheme. I think they say, look, we'll funnel to the tight end because they usually suck. We want to make sure we got your good receivers covered. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
thanks, Coach
that's
Matt.
A theory.
Well, I mean, they're all theories, right? But it's funny, at this point in the season, when we're at week 8, I think these numbers mean something.
They do.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So, it's just like a weird ones, though. The Panthers, 2nd most fantasy points allowed to tight ends.
And they have good linebackers.
They have like one of the best linebackers of the NFL. They were without Thomas Davis, who's back, but so maybe that changes that,
I do think the tight end fantasy points against trends do seem to matter more than the other ones.
But then you look at last week, right? You say, hey, Thomas Davis is back. Last week, Zach Ertz, 138 yards, Dallas Goedert, 43 and a touchdown. Didn't help last week, so. And Vernon Davis the week before, touchdown with Thomas Davis. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'm going to go back to your boy, Ricky Seals-Jones.
Pick him every week, and he never does anything.
I mean, this is my first time picking him, so maybe it'll be a little bit better.
New to you.
New to me. The Niners give up the 8th most points to tight ends.
Mm-hmm. What'd they give up to Seals-Jones a couple weeks ago?
Well, they gave up 6 targets.
Okay. How many catches do you think he had on those 6 targets, Alex?
5.
That's why I brought up that they gave up 6 targets, because they didn't give up any catches.
Find the stat that fits your narrative. Yeah.
That's not going to happen again. That's weird.
See, that's my logic.
That's weird. But I don't think this guy's that great. But then again, there aren't that many options in Arizona. So
And to say the least.
book him for 40 to 60 yards.
You haven't even hit the best angle yet.
What's the best angle?
Hit them angles.
New offensive coordinator.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be
Byron Leftwich, come on. He's going to hit the ball to his moneymakers.
Okay.
That's Ricky Seals-Jones.
Seals-Jones is his moneymaker?
Don't you just love when you have a built-in narrative that might be total BS, but you can still just say it?
Say it and sound smart. Like if you went up to someone and be like, hey, man, and they got that new coordinator now, probably going to go to him. Most casual people are like, cool, okay,
Makes sense.
You're smart.
The truth is, we don't know.
No.
We don't know. We're making crap up. But no, the targets are always most important, I think, and his targets have fluctuated, but if you're looking for a sleeper tight end, it's funny, this week you might not. Tight end actually is fairly deep this week. It's kind of nice. I mean, Austin Hooper's off. That's the only tight end that matters who's on bye.
He barely matters.
Greg Olson's back. Evan Ingram's back. A couple guys. I think Vance McDonald has become pretty established.
Olson was back last week.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, all these, the last couple
He's
weeks.
still hurt.
If Evan Ingram, by the way, is your starting tight end, you might still be looking for someone, though.
Evan Ingram?
Yeah.
Wasn't he your boy before the year? You were like fourth-round pick?
I'll eat the crow. That's such a dumb shit.
He had the MCL. He's probably still getting back to full strength.
But
and Eli's not good.
But last week he had a really good matchup and did nothing.
Yeah. So
and there were 400 yards. But he's probably still getting back to full strength.
Yeah.
We know, Alex, guys don't come back from injuries. They should never come back from injuries.
Ever. One sprayed knee, your career's done. No, but Gronk hopefully will be back this week too. So
speaking of those guys, though, I'm gonna segue into my bust pick since we were just talking about him.
Do it.
Get it out of the way. Greg Olsen. He had 2 catches for 5 yards last week. I know he had a touchdown, which with tight ends, those can just pop in whenever from 1 yard out. But I think he's still hurt. This game against the Ravens feels like a defensive struggle. Maybe you get a touchdown from Olsen again. I just don't feel like he's being targeted. And he's just not getting down the field.
Well, he is getting targeted. He's had 12 targets in 2 games. But the question is, how usable are those targets?
Yeah.
And that I
don't think he's explosive as he was before.
That's the big thing, right? Like, what does he bring? So you're playing a defense like the Ravens, who, they're 20th in fantasy points tight end, so not
admittedly
good,
you're probably going to start Olsen because he looks nice in your lineup and you're going to start him. And
that's just it. Like, are you going to pull the trigger on Ben Watson or Ricky Seals-Jones over him? I think most people wouldn't.
Right.
I think Watson, you definitely should. I think with Seals-Jones, though, you say,
probably go
got Josh Rosen throwing to him? Nah, I'm not. Start Olsen. But
your guy you're about to pick is another one that's tough to take out of the lineup.
Well, it's especially tough because he's healthy.
Which is crazy.
Right.
We're in week 8.
And Jordan Reed's
and he's still healthy and he's not having a good year.
But Jordan Reed against the Giants, who last year were miserable against tight ends, this year pretty good. 24th, 5.6 fantasy points a game. That's non-PPR. They've allowed 1 tight end touchdown all year. That was to Zach Ertz. Now, you look at the matchups and you say, well, they shouldn't have. Austin Jenkins, Rico Gathers, Ryan Griffin. They did play the Saints. Then they played Carolina without Olsen. These last 2, Ertz and Hooper, they got burned by Ertz and Hooper didn't do much. But so this could be a situation where are the numbers legit or have they just had a bunch of really good matchups? I think it's a fair question.
Or is Reed even the featured part of the offense?
Well,
he hasn't done anything.
I mean, last week,
and that's why I feel comfortable saying he's
last week they had no Crowder.
Right.
They had no Richardson.
No Chris Thompson.
I was like, this is a week Reed does something. And still only had, 30, 40 yards?
Yeah.
On only 2 or 3 catches. So, and I don't remember seeing a lot of balls sailing over his head or him dropping. Like, I watched a fair amount of that
4
game.
4 targets.
Yeah, he wasn't
43.
Wasn't overly involved.
Yeah,
so.
and Vernon Davis wasn't involved at all after being involved the week before. So I don't know. Maybe that's an offensive switch. They're just like, hey, we're an Adrian Peterson ground and pound team, and Alex Smith runs around a little bit, but. Yeah, it's just, though, if you got Jordan Reed and he's healthy, tough to sit him.
Yeah, I'm playing. I looked for alternatives, didn't find any.
I mean, he had 9 targets 2 weeks ago. He was involved, but he only had 36 yards. I don't know. I don't hate him, but I'm just not that big on him this week. So, but again, playing Ricky Seals-Jones over him?
Nope.
No. Playing Ben Watson over him? I would.
Yeah, you probably would.
I'd pull that one. Who was the other guy I said?
Olsen.
No, the other. Remember I said was another good candidate?
Vance McDonald.
Yeah? Would you play Vance over him?
Probably. He's been more productive.
Yeah. Not a great matchup for him either on paper, but I think I'd play him over him.
I'm going to stick with Reed just because he's on my team.
Yeah.
So
it's always easier
if he's listening to the podcast, I want to know him behind him. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah.
Or he will be listening later in the week, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, and our other boy, who I would definitely play over these guys, CJ Uzomah.
Well, I would have picked him again, but I picked him 2 weeks in a row. Right. He's come through Bucks, 2 weeks in a row, basically.
Definitely last week with the touchdown. He didn't do much else.
Juice Uzomah.
That's right.
Just keep squeezing that juice.
And the Bucks are the worst at everything.
They are bad.
Like literally, you look at it. Tight ends, number 1 in fantasy points allowed. Running backs, where are they? They're a little better against running backs. 12, not so bad. Wide receivers, 3rd, and quarterbacks, 1st.
They're not good, but you know what?
That's a DFS stacking team.
Dirk's going to have him playing this week.
Oh, Dirk Cutter.
Because he don't know who their running back is.
Playing coy. All right. Anything else you got from last week?
Nah.
Nothing?
Nah.
How about that Derrick Henry touchdown? We all own Derrick Henry. Was he in any of our lineups?
I was wondering what percentage of lineups he probably was in. I bet it was so low.
He was not in mine, and I actually bailed on Deion Lewis last week, too.
He was not in mine.
I didn't play either Titan running back, and it felt... Although I was annoyed that was the only game in town at 9:30.
Yeah.
And that was the first game this year that I've benched Lewis, Henry, and Corey Davis. Benched all of them. And that game, I was like, well, but then...
It was annoying to wake up and see that he scored a touchdown immediately. The second you open your... I mean, but he only had 33 yards rushing.
Yeah,
32
he's terrible.
yards.
I mean, Lewis had the better game. Lewis had 91 yards.
Yeah.
Or 91
I want to drop
rushing
him
yards.
so bad. I might drop him this week because I think I might.
Just trade him.
Well,
trade him, poison pill him.
I don't want to trade when I'm 1-6.
No, include him in a deal to ruin someone else's team.
I'll make waiver moves, but I don't want to screw up the league. I feel I'm not in a position.
You're 1-6 in the expert league.
Don't worry about it. The point is
Has that been talked about enough? I sort of missed
all right, let's talk about something. So normally I urge people to go to sportnews.com/fantasy and read our stuff.
Please do.
Every Sunday we publish a weather update. Do not read that article. I'm telling people, don't click on it. Don't read it. All it will do is screw you up because it screwed me out of 2 different kickers this week with minor weather worries. And I would have won the week if I'd played either of those kickers, Dan Bailey or Matt Breida.
That is just classic overmanaging.
It is. I was like, I'll take a guy in a dome. Eldrick Rosas. They're settling for field goals.
Actually, I almost picked up Breida. What did he end up with?
Like 16?
Oh, shit. I would have won because I went McManus. I went McManus, who had 9, and I lost by 3.
Yeah, Prater had a big game.
1-6.
Don't worry about it. We're talking about weather.
I have twice as many wins.
I can't believe I let you draft.
Don't worry about it.
I'm twice as smart as him. I have twice as many wins.
2 and 5.
Don't worry about it.
Why would anyone listen to this podcast?
It's all about process, not results. Everyone knows that.
I lost by 3 on Tyreek Hill's touchdown, and I was the second highest scoring team in the league.
And I lost because
that'll get me to another rant.
Matt Breida.
Head-to-head fantasy sucks.
Oh, well, obviously.
You should play every team in the league every week. That way, if you score a lot of points, you still get some wins.
Yeah.
If you have a 12-team league, you have 11 games every week. If you're the second highest scoring team, you go 10-1.
Yeah.
It doesn't make the whole week a complete toss-out, throwaway, because you scored 3 less points than the highest scoring team.
Right. No, it sucks. But, well, that's why you at least got to give a prize for, like, points scored regular season. But back to people not reading our weather report. Just don't, if you see it, don't click on the other stuff. But don't click on that.
Is the intern starting to get more page views than you? Is that his article?
No, that's my article.
You're trying to, like,
no, that's my article. No. But I hate it so much every week because the Vikings one was sustained 20 mile per hour winds, 30 mile per hour gusts. So I'm like, I can't play Dan Bailey. Come on, that's too windy.
Plus all those years he was in a dome.
He had 3 field goals. Right, he had 3 field goals. Apparently wasn't affected. And then the Lions one wasn't as bad, but it was like 50 mile per hour winds and probably some rain, pop-up storms. I was like, that's enough for me to just take a dome kicker in a game that should be high scoring. Eli's going off. They're going to move the ball. Nope. And then, of course...
Why do we listen to you?
I don't know. And then, of course, any chance I had toward the end of that game was 2 Giants touchdowns, 2 extra points, overtime field goal. And they score the first touchdown. I'm like, okay, just give me my extra point. And then old Sherber's like, 2. We got to go for 2 here, boys. And I was like, well, now this is just on purpose.
What was the explanation for that?
I don't know if he had one.
Did he forget the score?
I don't know. By the way, my fourth choice would have been Tavecchio because he was also playing in a dome, and he's just bombing 50-yarders left and right. So, bad job by me.
Good kicker talk on the podcast. Can't get enough of that. Let's do sleeper kickers next week.
God.
1 and 6.
Don't worry about it. All right.
He's tanking for that early draft pick.
Yeah, I'm at this point. I wish.
Too bad it's not a keeper league. You can't trade some guys.
Do you think I have anyone to keep?
If you knew Matt at all, you would know that he is so anti-keeper leagues.
I hate him.
He thinks the world is going to end tomorrow, and why should you plan ahead for any team?
You might be right.
I mean, I'm a prepper, but I'm not going to prep with my fantasy football. I'm getting canned goods, assorted firearms, and whatnot. The last thing I need to worry about is my fantasy team at that point. So, all right, that's it. Anything else? Nothing else?
Nothing else. I'm in full-on baseball mode right now.
All right, I'm in basketball mode right now.
Well, I'm ready to get to that too.
Jimmy Butler's still going strong.
I'm ready to get to basketball mode, but I got to close out this baseball season first.
All right.
I know I got to watch that Twins game tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, in Arizona. High school field. Scrimmage. All right, that's it. Again, go to sportnews.com/fantasy, read all the stuff except the weather updates, but everything else, all the rankings, sleepers, busts, all the DFS stuff, injury updates, we got you covered with everything you need. Even weather if you are into that, but really, honestly, don't read that. And we will be back next week bitching about God knows what. I'm sure Eric will be complaining about Doug Martin and his 23 yards.
Nope.
So something to look forward to. So for Alex Novick, Eric Ferreira, I'm Matt Latusky, and we'll see you next time.